do you think just because it's the NFL, eventually we're going to see the Niners, just not play a great game of football? Because I think that more goes into the handicap than, okay, the Cowboys are better than the 49ers. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at some
Yeah.
point, the 49ers are going to lose a game and they're not going to look
Yes.
bulletproof.
Yeah, that's the NFL. They will. They will struggle. They'll take an L. It happens every single year in this league. So no matter how good you are, there will be times when the Niners are challenged. But over the course of the season, it's going to be hard to bet against these guys. So I'm wondering when I'm going to take these guys in the survivor pool, which I keep doing, and then they're going to take an L. I don't know when that's going to be, but we will see it. They're not perfect, but man, they are built for this. And remember last year, like if Brock Purdy doesn't get injured, who knows what happens against the Eagles? Doesn't really matter now, but it's not like, look, when you lose your quarterback, what are you going to do? It's essentially over for you, particularly in the playoffs. So we don't know, but he looks as good as he ever looked, which is crazy. Has Brock Purdy even played a full season in the NFL yet? I don't think he has. No, not even close. Which it's remarkable. And I understand, look, it's easy when you're giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey or, oh, there's George Kittle. Oh, hey, Debo, how are you? Brandon, hi. He has in that defense. So he's in the perfect situation. That said, he does exactly what he needs to do in that spot. So that's crazy to think about, too, that he hasn't even reached his ceiling yet.
Well, how high do you think his ceiling is? If he's somebody who did not get drafted in the first round, I think that's my question is what is his ceiling? Because I think right now, if you believe like what people thought before the draft took place, like isn't he pretty high or pretty close to his ceiling? I think that's the question.
I can't believe, I at least for me, I can't believe that a guy has reached his ceiling less than a season in the NFL. I'm not saying he's going to turn into some sort of blockbuster top-tier quarterback, but I refuse to believe that a guy who has played less than 16 games in the National Football League, who clearly has a ton of natural talent, can't learn and get better. I'll tell you something. I'm thinking about the Texans on the money line. This spread has come down from Falcons -3.5. It's in Atlanta, so now it's Falcons -1. All this money pouring in on Houston. I'm not trying to get crazy on the Texans train here, but CJ Stroud looks awesome. He has been fantastic. Will Anderson, the rave reviews are coming in on him. I think the Texans are a live dog, and Matt just said this in the chat. He got them at +125 yesterday. If you can find them at plus money, I would be all over Houston. They look like the real deal relatively compared to what we thought they were going to be this season. Like CJ Stroud looks fantastic. And also, I said this last week, the Falcons are just so one-dimensional. Think about the Falcons for a second. They could have had Lamar Jackson. Imagine Lamar, and they didn't want him, which is fine. But think about the weapons that are on that offense that just go unused because they don't have anyone to throw Kyle Pitts the football, to throw Drake London the football. They can't throw the football. They just try to get it to Bijan and make something happen. If they had an actual quarterback, that'd be so dangerous. Texans money line. I love that play.
Yeah, this is a two-pronged handicap here because not only is CJ Stroud making these amazing throws, because I was watching some of the highlights. These are not even easy throws to make. He's making some tight window throws.
No.
And then also, don't know if you watched that disaster of a game for Desmond Ridder. He ain't it in Atlanta. So I think on both regards, I will be with you on the Texans getting a point, and they'll also be in my teaser. The Texans getting 7. Hell yeah. Add that to my tab, brother. So let's do it, Jenks. I'm going to give you all of my options for my teaser, and you tell me who ruins it. Who ruins my teaser? So the first candidates I feel pretty strongly about. There are two that I really like this week, starting with the Texans. Getting 7 over the Falcons. This line is Texas +1 right now. You get 6 points in your favor. Do we really think the Falcons are going to even beat the Texans? I would say no. And then my next question would be, do we really think the Falcons are going to beat the Texans by more than 7? And I would say, hell no. So that's teaser leg number 1. Number 2, we're going to take the Jets plus 8.5 at the Broncos. So the regular line in this one is Jets plus 2.5 at the Broncos, who just got their first win of the season over the mighty Bears. So no, I don't think the Broncos are going to blow out the Jets, who at least have a good defense, and Zach Wilson looks pretty decent, at least in one half of football, against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is where it gets tricky. And Jenks, you tell me which of these legs I should be kicking out, because there's a couple candidates for the third leg of my teaser. Cowboys plus 9.5 at the Niners. I know the Niners have just been running through people, but if anybody can hold a candle, maybe it's the Cowboys. And then the ugliest dog of the week, the Vikings getting 11.5 at the Chiefs. It feels like the Chiefs have really not been blowing out people, so maybe that's a candidate here. So, Jenks, the question is, who ruins my teaser?
I think it's probably, I think it's maybe the Cowboys. Is that crazy to say? Maybe. I don't know. I wonder if Dak Prescott, if he falls back. I like the teaser. I think they stay within the number here. But I also think that there's a possibility if Dak Prescott goes back into his ways that we saw last season against arguably the best defense in the NFL, he throws a pick or two, and then the Cowboys have to play from behind, and maybe they get into trouble there. So that's your one sabotage factor. Cowboys are a good football team. I'm not going to punish them because they had one bad loss to the Cardinals. Again, it happens in the NFL, but I think there is a possibility that Dak maybe loses his mind against the Niners, but I like it. The thing is, when you watch the Sooners, and I understand, they have an offense that is tailor-made for running up the score on bad teams. Dylan Gabriel can toss it around, but they haven't played anybody. I mean, no, okay, fine. Cincinnati, SMU. I mean, why in the world am I even worried about this when I got a bunch of inbreds coming down from Norman, Oklahoma to Dallas, Texas? Oh, I guess I'll go to the game, but I'll be back, sis. And when I say sis, I mean sister. Quit just dropping down the gene pool and screwing the old IQ of our collective country and just get away from the family members and focus on something else. Let me tell you something, all right? This is our year. Everything's going our way. We took care of Bama. You think I'm worried about some yokels coming into Dallas? I am not. There's a reason why this line is so big, and you're saying, oh, Jenks, it's a rivalry game. Well, guess what? I remember last year was also a rivalry game, and I remember you guys putting up a big goose egg. We won 49-0, okay? You haven't played anybody. We have Texas in a landslide at the Red River Shootout.
Ooh, I love that statistical numerical analysis that included inbreds and, going back to your sister. I think Ed Egros would really appreciate that. Like, the numbers don't lie. You're just a guy that just thinks with his head. Your heart's not even taking a role in this one. But you're right. So let's pump the brakes just a little bit. What is the sabotage factor for Texas in this game? Because you just said that Oklahoma has a high-flying offense, and this is a big number, and it's been driven up. I think if this one gets to 7, we will see some buyback on Oklahoma, but you're right. All the money looks like it has been pouring in on Texas. But does it scare you that it's a rivalry game? Because it feels like this is the one sabotage factor for me, an outside person that has no ties to either side. Usually rivalry games play closer than expected, but this is a spread that's under a touchdown. So it feels like you're pretty heavily leaning Texas. Like, even the fact that I feel like it's not even the fact that you are a Texas fan and you went to Texas. So lay it out without, the inbred comments. What makes you think Texas is the better team here, other than just, them going back to their sister and the fact that they ain't played nobody, Paul? Sounds like
this is what I would say. If you look at this game and you really want to handicap it, I think the real key is the Texas defensive line. This defensive line is easily a top 3 defensive line in the country. If you watch the Oklahoma versus Cincinnati game, the Bearcats had their way with the Oklahoma offensive line. they're going to have a lot of problems with Texas. Now, the key for the Longhorns is to make sure Oklahoma doesn't hit the deep shot. But if you watch Texas, what they do is they're extremely well-conditioned. And the reason why they play things close in the first half and then pull away in the fourth is because they keep rotating in these monsters on the D-line. They're very deep, and then they just wear you down and run over you.